Picture this, you're scrolling TikTok, drowning in a sea of lip syncs and dance challenges, when a guy with jet black hair and enough eyeliner to stock a hot topic pops onto your screen. He's screaming about heartbreak, mental health, and sticking it to the haters, all while strumming a guitar like it owes him money. Meet TX2, the emo revival's loudest voice, a self-proclaimed savior of broken teens and the mastermind behind the X movement. With viral anthems like I Would Hate Me Too and Randy McNally, There's No Love Like Christian Hate, he's got over 500,000 TikTok followers eating out of his hand, sold out shows on his Cruel World tour, and a shiny contract with Hopeless Records. To his fans, he's the real deal. A bisexual emo kid from Fort Collins, Colorado, who's been rocking skinny jeans since 5th grade and isn't afraid to cry about it.
This is your sign to wear all black, dye your hair, and make 2024 the year of your villain arc. You just need an anthem, and I got you. I hope you
But hold up. Before you hit that follow button, let's talk about the guy behind the filter. Timothy Evan Thomas, TX2 as he's widely known, even if that's the band name, has built a brand on raw vulnerability and social justice, preaching inclusivity and mental health awareness like he's auditioning for a TED Talk. He's the poster boy for a new emo generation, leading a movement that's all about safe spaces and queer pride. Sounds wholesome, right? Well, hold on to that thought until you see these clips.
Oh my god, is that a Goth? Dommy, mommy?
This, but as someone who has tried to end their life several times because they thought that there was something wrong with them, who has struggled to come out as bi because he feared that girls would like him less, his family wouldn't understand, and he would lose friends, which all of the above happened, and dealing with much more intense trauma that I cannot even talk about on this app, emo music has been the one place that I have found solace, and you're telling me that I can't...
Yeah, that's TX2 all right. If you've stumbled across his TikTok page, you've probably rolled your eyes at least once.
The old white man always gotta stay. They can hold my... They don't want to be protected. They just want their chance to end up rich and racist. They're running out of time.
But most people just keep scrolling, thinking to themselves, wow, this dude's a lot. But if you pause for a second, you'll realize there's a whole lot more to this story, and it's not the kind of vibe check you're expecting. See, TX2 isn't just another emo kid with a guitar and a dream. He's a walking contradiction. A guy who screams about love and acceptance while picking fights with teenagers and tossing around slurs like confetti. His fans call him a genius, a voice for the voiceless. But the internet? Oh, the internet has a different story to tell. From Reddit threads to TikTok Stitch videos, the whispers are getting louder, and they almost confirm that he is not really liked. The vibe gives TX2 is trouble, and not the cool, rebellious kind. It's more like the, yikes, this guy needs to log off kind. To understand the entirety of his story, let's rewind to how this all started. Timothy Evan Thomas grew up in Fort Collins, a sleepy Colorado town where the most exciting thing is probably a new Starbucks opening. By his own account, he was the weird kid, blasting Avenged Sevenfold and dreaming of emo glory while the other kids were into sports or whatever normal people do. Then you fast forward to 2018, and he's already a struggling rapper, spitting bars to empty rooms and praying for a viral moment. But rap wasn't cutting it. Nobody was cheering, and the void was real. So like any good opportunist, he pivoted hard, really hard. Then entered TX2, the emo persona. With a new look that gives My Chemical Romance meets Gen Z TikTok, a new sound that is like pop punk with a side of rage and a knack for rage bait, he quickly exploded onto the scene. His TikTok blew up with songs that hit every emo stereotype, from heartbreak, self-loathing, and even a sprinkle of social commentary. His tracks like Pull the Plug and Heaven Was Full, I'm Headed Straight to Hell racked up a lot of streams, landing on Spotify playlists and earning him a deal with Hopeless Records in 2023. He wasn't just making music, he was building a movement. The X movement, as he called it, was all about mental health awareness, a safe space for fans to share their struggles. He tours the US, sold out venues, and even got interviewed by outlets like Miami New Times, where he swore he was rebranding emo to be safer and more inclusive. To his fans, this was catnip. Emotional teens, queer kids, and anyone who felt like an outsider flocked to him. They showed him love, maybe too much love, with comments reinforcing the affection. "Evan, I love your music. I love you so much. Never forget that." He was their hero, a guy who got it. Someone who'd been through the trenches of depression and came out swinging. He leaned into it too, posting about his own mental health battles, his bisexuality, and his fight against homophobia.
This is gonna make a lot of you mad, but this is for the right person who needs it. Hi, my name is TX2, and I'm a rock artist. I am also bi. I know some of you look up to me, and if you are gay, bi, or any type of queer.
He even dropped songs like Randy McNally, calling out Christian hypocrisy with lyrics that had fans screaming along. On paper, he was untouchable, being a viral star with a record deal and a fan base that worshipped him. But here's where things get messy. Beneath the surface of his tear-soaked monologues and rainbow flag waving, something was rotting. See, you don't get to be the internet's favorite emo boy without stepping on a few toes. And TX2, he's been stomping like he's in a mosh pit. And in one video of him where he says he could literally unalive himself on a live stream and still be called a poser, he was actually responding to criticism from a teenage emo core fan.
I could literally unalive myself on a live stream, and you would still all call me a poser. What more do you people want from me?
Oof, Evan, maybe pump the brakes. Because when you're out here preaching love and then beefing with a 19-year-old non-binary TikToker over a video that wasn't even about you, people start to raise eyebrows. When you're claiming to be an LGBTQ+ ally, but misgendering fans and tossing slurs in your songs, the hypocrisy starts to stink. And when you're telling a kid to kill themselves in a song just because they called out your creepy lyrics, yeah, that's not a vibe, it's a red flag. The internet doesn't sleep, and neither does the drama. From TikTok to Reddit to Instagram, TX2's antics sparked a firestorm. Fans are divided. Some still stand, believing he's a misunderstood artist. Others are done, labeling him a fake who's exploiting trauma for clout, and one user even confessed that he thought the whole thing was a joke. The accusations start piling up. There's the case of him fetishizing goth girls, ripping off other bands, and maybe even flirting with minors back in his rap days. It's a lot, and it's only getting uglier. As we pull back the curtain off TX2's emo empire, from his TikTok tantrums to his fake apologies, to his plagiarism scandals, down to his unhinged behavior, it becomes evident that this is a dive into the rise and fall of a guy who thought he could scream his way out of accountability. This isn't just a story about bad music or cringy videos. It's about a man who built a brand on vulnerability, only to let his ego tear it all down. TX2, the emo king of TikTok with a record deal, a fan base that screams his lyrics like it's 2005. He probably thought he was untouchable, right? Well, he was wrong, because if there's one thing the internet loves more than a rising star, it's watching that star crash and burn. And TX2, oh, he's giving us a front row seat to the meltdown of the century. Let's talk about the moment he decided to pick a fight with a 19-year-old non-binary TikToker named Lake, and how that one bad decision turned him into the internet's favorite punching bag. It all began with a TikTok video. Lake, a creator known for their love of emo and goth music, posted a video praising Kyle Gordon's satirical banger, "My Life is the Worst Life Ever." If you haven't heard it, it's a pitch-perfect parody of early 2000s post-hardcore emo, complete with whiny vocals and lyrics about, well, being the most miserable person alive.
I dropped the seats on that you black man is that's like you are man. Hey, what's like I went to which I went if I'm not say tonight. Let's make strides right back down. Let's start like just see no day nice skin this tip. And there's something things like the word like doesn't the words like doing that. I like this morning, why like this? They now I like this Sarah.
Lake was obsessed with it, and for good reason, as Gordon nailed the vibe, poking fun at emo stereotypes while still respecting the genre's history. In their video, Lake gushed about how Gordon's song slaps, how it's got substance, and how it's basically the anthem emo kids didn't know they needed. They even said it's going on their Spotify post-hardcore playlist. But then Lake made a tiny detour. In the middle of their love letter to Gordon, they threw in a quick jab at some musicians who, in their opinion, are doing emo all wrong. We're talking artists who lean into the gimmick, dyed hair, eyeliner, hot topic fits, without the heart or history to back it up.
Without the substance. They're trying to achieve the emo gimmick, they're trying to use stereotypes to get famous, to get popular, they use fetishization to get popular. It's the gimmick without the history, without the substance. They dye their hair and wear eyeliner and buy from Dolls Kill, and that's enough to get them where they are. They've got the gimmick, but they don't have any substance.
They named 3 culprits: Machine Gun Kelly, Youngblood, and you guessed it, TX2. Lake's point was simple. These guys are chasing clout by fetishizing emo culture, slapping on stereotypes to go viral without understanding what makes the genre tick. It's the kind of critique you see all over Reddit's emo forums. Hardly groundbreaking, just a fan venting about posers. Lake wasn't even trying to start a war. TX2 was barely a footnote in a video that was 90% about Kyle Gordon.
TX2, MGK, and Yaim Caroline try so hard to be part of the emo genre and fail every single time, while Kyle Gordon took one hit and swung across the park.
Now, if you're TX2, a grown man in your 20s with a record deal and a fan base, you've got 2 options here. Option 1, ignore the random 19-year-old's opinion. Keep making your music and move on with your life. Option 2, lose your entire mind. Make it your personal mission to clap back and prove to the internet you're the most fragile ego in the emo scene. Guess which one TX2 picked? The answer's obvious since we're talking about him now. Enter Timothy Evan Thomas, but we're calling him Evan or TX2 because that's what the internet's screaming. Instead of scrolling past Lake's video like a normal person, Evan decided that this was his hill to die on. He immediately stitched Lake's TikTok with a response that's equal parts defensive, unhinged, and straight up embarrassing. Imagine a guy with 500,000 followers, a tour bus, a hopeless records contract, sitting in front of his phone, whining about how a teenager's critique of his music is ruining his life. I'm someone who's tried to end their life several times, he says, voice dripping with self-pity. I've struggled to come out as bi, feared girls wouldn't like me, lost friends, dealt with trauma I can't even talk about on this app. Emo music is my solace, and you're telling me I can't write about my experiences? He laments repeatedly.
I'm about to address this and all of you who make this claim, so hear me out and listen carefully. And I shouldn't even have to tell you this, but as someone who has tried to end their life several times because they thought that there was something wrong with them, who has struggled to come out as bi because he feared that girls would like him less, his family wouldn't understand, and he would lose friends, which all of the above happened, and dealing with much more intense trauma that I cannot even talk about on this app, emo music has been the one place that I have found solace, and you're telling me that I can't write about my own experiences and I can't vent? You say there's no substance, but this is literally trauma I have experienced and I'm venting about in my music. I'm sorry I didn't put enough metaphors in my music for it to feel deep.
Okay, Evan, let's pump the brakes here, buddy. First of all, nobody said you can't write about your trauma. Nobody did. Lake's point was that your music feels too much like a gimmick, not a diary entry. Secondly, you're a grown adult beefing with a kid who's barely old enough to buy a beer. And thirdly, you're out here trauma dumping to your 500,000 followers because someone said your song lacks substance? Yikes. But Evan wasn't done. He doubled down, claiming he's been emo since 5th grade, even throwing in a clip of himself as a kid drumming to Avenged Sevenfold like it's proof that he's the mayor of Emo Town. I'm not hopping on a bandwagon, he insists. He goes on in the video saying, I could literally unalive myself on a live stream and you'd still call me a poser. What more do you people want? I don't know, Evan. How about some actually good tunes?
Also, this is not a recent bandwagon I am hopping on. I've been emo since 5th grade. This is me absolutely ripping a drum solo for an Avenged Sevenfold song in middle school. For anybody that makes this type of video about me, I ask that you show them this video. I could literally unalive myself on a live stream, and you would still all call me a poser. What more do you people want from me?
Oh, Evan. Threatening to unalive yourself because a teenager didn't like your music. That's not a flex, it's a cry for help. And the internet, they ate it up, but not in the way TX2 hoped. Reddit snarks quickly lit up with fans and haters alike tearing into his response. Metal or not, he's a gigantic pile of dog with very bland and uninspired music, cringe Gen Z lyrics and communication, one user wrote. Another commented, he steals music and his lyrics are mid. Even TX2's diehard fans were split. Some defended him, saying he's just being real about his pain, but others admitted it was a bad look. And then there are those who are still genuinely confused if he was a band or a solo artist. You'd think Evan would see the backlash, take a deep breath, and maybe log off for a bit. But no, this is TX2 we're talking about, and restraint isn't in his vocabulary. Lake's video wasn't even a full-on attack, just a passing comment in a sea of TikTok noise. But Evan couldn't let it go. And here's where things go from cringy to straight-up indefensible. Lake, clearly over TX2's dramatics, posted another video doubling down on their critique. They called out one of TX2's lyrical obsessions, his weird, creepy fixation on Goth Dommy mommies. If you've heard TX2 songs or seen his TikToks, you know exactly what Lake's talking about. The Goth Dommy mommy content is like a bad meme that won't die. Lake wasn't having it. If I have to hear TX2 talk about Goth Dommy mommies one more time, they said, I'm gonna shoot myself.
Also, if I need to hear TX2 talk about Goth Dommy mommies one more time, I'm shitting myself. I'm going to shit myself if I have to hear that one more time.
It was a hyperbolic jab, sure, but it was also a fair one. TX2's lyrics and videos often lean into fetishizing alternative women, turning goth girls into a caricature of hot, dominant, big bazinga stereotypes. For Lake, who was a goth, it wasn't just annoying, it was disrespectful to the subculture they love. Now, again, a sane person might take that feedback, maybe reflect on how their lyrics are landing and move on. But we know that's not Evan. Oh, he took it to a whole new level of unhinged. Instead of addressing Lake's critique, or, apologizing, TX2 announced a new song. And not just any song, a diss track aimed at his haters with a special shout-out to Lake. The opening line, it's literally Lake's audio ripped straight from their TikTok. Except TX2 twisted it, making it sound like Lake's words were part of his song, followed by lyrics that basically told them to go through with it. That's right, TX2, a grown man, put out a song that tells a 19-year-old to kill themselves, all because they didn't like his music.
Talk about goth dommy mommies one more time, I'll shoot myself.
Let that sink in. This isn't some edgy metaphorical lyric. This is a direct, personal attack on a teenager who dared to call out his creepy lyrics. The internet exploded. TikTokers stitched the song, Reddit threads dissected it, and even Instagram reels were flooded with reactions. He's using his platform to bully a kid. Who does that? Another user summed it up when they said, TX2 just told a non-binary teen to off themselves in a song. Emo's supposed to be about lifting people up, not this. Lake was floored, posting a video begging TX2 to leave him alone. I haven't talked about you in months, he said, visibly shaking. You're a touring musician with a fan base, views, and money. Why are you beefing with me? I want nothing to do with you. Begging him to please just stop.
I don't know why he won't leave me the alone. Dude, you have everything you want. You're a touring musician, you have a fan base, you get views, you get money. Why are you beefing with me? I haven't talked about you in months. I want nothing to do with you. Please leave me the alone.
But Evan wasn't done. Months after the song dropped, he was still bringing up Lake in videos, acting like they were his personal supervillain. In one TikTok, he claimed Lake was a full-grown adult and doubled down, saying, if I'm gonna be accused of it anyway, I might as well. And he then went on to actually scream at a kid in the video.
He told a teenager to... First off, they were a full-grown adult. Second off, if I'm gonna be accused of it anyways, I might as well. Hey, kid!
But we know he wasn't being accused, he was really bullying a teenager. And doing a bang-up job at that, even proving them right. The obsession was unreal. A grown man losing sleep over a 19-year-old's TikTok from months ago. Lake, meanwhile, had gone silent on the issue, clearly wanting to move on. But TX2, he was out here milking the drama for every last drop of clout. The fallout was brutal. Fans who'd once seen TX2 as a mental health hero started jumping ship. Because telling a dude to kill themselves isn't emo, it's just cruel. Some called out the irony, saying, "This dude preaches about safe spaces, but can't handle a critique without writing a diss track. What a joke." Even TX2's defenders were struggling. One fan argued that he didn't mean it literally, but it's still a terrible look. Instead of looking at the serious backlash he was getting and maybe apologizing, Evan chose to lean further into his cringe persona by posting about how haters are just part of being a successful emo band, claiming that every emo band goes through this, that it's a necessary step. Necessary step to what, Evan? Becoming the internet's most hated emo act? Because that is the closest he is to success right now. The craziest part in all of this is that this whole mess could have been avoided. Lake's original video wasn't even about TX2. It was about Kyle Gordon's song. If Evan had just ignored it, nobody would have cared. But instead, he turned a footnote into a full-blown scandal, proving correct every stereotype about fragile egos in the music scene. And the Lake feud is just the tip of the iceberg. Because if you think telling a teen to off themselves is bad, wait until you hear about the other skeletons in TX2's closet. From fetishizing goth girls to throwing slurs while claiming to be an ally, Evan's got a laundry list of controversies that make this look tame. If you thought TX2's meltdown over a 19-year-old's TikTok was the peak of his chaos, buckle up, because Evan's got a whole closet full of skeletons, and they're rattling louder than his guitar riffs. The Lake feud was just the opening act, a taste of how TX2 handles criticism with all the grace of a toddler in a tantrum. But the internet doesn't stop digging, and neither do we. From fetishizing goth women to throwing slurs while waving a rainbow flag to straight up ripping off other bands, TX2's controversies are piling up faster than his Spotify streams. Let's unpack the mess that's got everyone from emos to goths to his own fans ready to cancel his X movement for good. Because when you're preaching love and authenticity but acting like a walking red flag, the internet's gonna call you out. First up, let's talk about TX2's obsession with goth Dommy mommies. Yeah, you heard that right. And if you're cringing, you're not alone. Lake already dragged Evan for this in their earlier TikTok video, and they were dissed for it, but it's worth a deeper dive because, wow, this is a dumpster fire. If you've scrolled through TX2's TikToks or listened to a number of his songs, you've probably stumbled across lines like, "Is that a goth Dommy mommy?" Or seen videos where he and his bandmates are practically drooling over alternative women.
Oh my god, is that a goth Dommy mommy?
It's not just a lyric, it's a whole vibe, and it's gross. Evan's content often paints goth girls as this fantasy stereotype. Hot, dominant, leather-clad mommies with, as he so eloquently put it, big bazingas. It's like he's watched one too many early 2000s music videos and decided that's what goth culture is all about. Now let's be clear. Goth subculture is about self-expression, art, and community, not being a prop for some dude's creepy fantasies. But TX2, he's out here turning goth women into a caricature, objectifying them in many of his videos, and that feels more like a bad Reddit thread than it does a music career. One infamous TikTok shows Evan and his bandmates hyping up a goth woman as a Dommy mommy, complete with over-the-top comments that make you want to bleach your eyes.
Oh my god, is that a goth Dommy mommy?
They're making goth women seem like another thing to search up, not a person. And the goth community, they're not having it. For them, this was disgusting, degrading, and clearly ignorant. How they reduced an elite subculture to a disgusting and weird sexual fetish. When the backlash hit, you'd expect Evan to, apologize, reflect, or maybe just stop. Nope. Instead, he doubled down with what might be the worst apology in emo history. In a video, he smirked and said, "Relax, liberals. We're making fun of the people who fetishize goth and alt people. They deserve to be mocked."
The people who say goth Dommy mommy. We're making fun of the people who fetishize goth and alt people. They deserve to be made fun of. If you want that to go away, you need them.
We have to be able to make jokes about them.
Oh, Evan, you sweet summer child. That's not how this works. You don't get to objectify an entire subculture, call it a joke, and expect a free pass. The internet tore him apart. Dark humor, more like lazy stereotyping. One Reddit user wrote, "He's not mocking fetishists, he's the fetishist." TX2's apology, if you can call it that, is like saying, "I didn't punch you, I was just practicing my swing." The goth Dommy mommy saga isn't just cringe, it's a symptom of TX2's bigger problem. He thinks he can say or do anything as long as he slaps an edgy label on it. But when you're a grown man with a platform, turning a subculture into your personal fantasy fuel isn't a joke, it's disrespectful. And the kicker? Evan's still at it, dropping the phrase in songs and videos like it's his brand now. It's like he's saying it to keep people mad at him or something. But wait, there's more. While TX2's out here alienating goths, he's also managing to fumble his LGBTQ+ ally card in the most spectacular way possible. Remember how Evans built his X movement on inclusivity, preaching love for the queer community and waving his bisexual flag like it's a Grammy Award? He's also got songs like Randy McNally, There's No Love Like Christian Hate, that call out homophobia, and he's constantly shouting about supporting queer fans. Sounds great, right? Until you realize it's all a performance, and Evan's actions don't match his rainbow-colored words. The first example of such a scenario was during the Lake feud, again. In his unhinged response video, Evan misgendered Lake, who's a non-binary creator, referring to them as she while whining about their critique. Lake, who uses they-them pronouns, was understandably pissed, and the internet noticed.
She's claiming.
This dude's out here claiming he's an ally but can't care to respect someone's pronouns. Maybe he was caught up in the moment and thought it was an honest mistake. But even when he was called out on the issue, this was the time he chose to ignore. The hypocrisy's glaring. Evan's all about queer pride and the LGBTQ+ movement when it's good for his brand, but when he's mad we see that mask slip. And it's not just Lake. Fans have dug up other instances where TX2's allyship feels more like marketing than sincerity. In one of their songs, he tosses around a slur that's got no business in his supposed inclusive anthem. And when it was brought up, he brushed it off as just lyrics. Even during Pride Month, when every influencer is posting rainbow flags, Evan's content was suspiciously quiet for most of the time. Until almost towards the end, long into Pride Month, did he now start posting a few stuff. But he's got time to beef back and forth with a teenager. The math ain't mathing, Evan. Fans who once saw TX2 as a safe space are starting to feel betrayed. I'm queer and I love this music because I thought he got it, one fan wrote. But misgendering Lake and using slurs? I'm out. Others are less polite. TX2's just another straight passing dude using queer aesthetics for clout, a TikTok commenter said. He's not an ally, he's a poser. Evan's response? Crickets and silence. Instead of addressing the criticism, he's leaned into his cringe is cool shtick, posting about how haters are just jealous of his success. Pro tip, Evan, when your allyship is called into question, maybe don't dodge it with a meme. But if you thought fetishizing goths and faking allyship were TX2's only sins, hold on to your eyeliner, because we're about to go into his much-cherished music and the allegations of plagiarism. Yeah, Evan's not just copying emo stereotypes, he's also allegedly copying actual songs. One of TX2's tracks sounds so identical to another artist's song that it's not a remix, not a sample, but a straight-up rip-off. It's like it is the same guitarist, same sound, same everything. Fans on Reddit have posted side-by-side comparisons, and the similarities are uncanny. Same chord progressions, same vibe, just with TX2's lyrics slapped on top. When the allegations surfaced, Evan didn't deny it. Instead, he dropped a video that's less an apology and more a masterclass in dodging accountability. If you don't know how music is made, you might think these songs sound similar, he says, all smug. But that's how music works, being inspired by others. My Chemical Romance took influence from other bands, and that's fine.
Let's talk about My Chemical Romance stealing songs and TX2 copying music. So if you watch this video, it's trying to claim that I ripped off My Chemical Romance and that My Chemical Romance is stolen from a lot of other bands. But I'm here to defend My Chemical Romance and address the copying accusations. So if you watch this video and you don't know how music is made, you're probably going to think these songs sound very similar. But that is how music has been made since the beginning of time, being inspired by somebody else. And it's clear if you listen closely, especially on this next one right here, My Chemical Romance took heavy influence from other songs. Check this one out on the video in particular, and it's totally fine. There's no way My Chemical Romance sat down and was like, we're gonna steal this part of the song. No, it's just art, it's inspiration, and that's how it works. Hope this helps.
Oh, Evan, bless your heart. There's a difference between inspiration and theft, and your song's not tipping its hat to My Chemical Romance. It's wearing their entire wardrobe. Inspiration isn't when you copy the exact same tempo, one commenter wrote. Another fan was more on his side. Literally everything is based off of other things. The plagiarism accusations hit hard because they fed into a bigger narrative. TX2's not an artist, he's a product. Fans already suspected his music lacked soul. It was too polished, too formulaic, but learning he's lifting riffs from other bands, that's a death knell for any emo creed. And it gets wicked when you learn that every TX2 song has 4 writers. 4! It might have been better if it was just him using AI to write his songs and was being a lazy artist. But finding out that he actually paid people to write those lyrics we hear, that was just shocking. These controversies, goth fetishization, fake allyship, plagiarism, are stacking up, and they're not just random drama. They paint a picture of a guy who's all about the image but none of the substance. TX2 wants to be the emo savior, a queer ally, the tortured artist, but every time he opens his mouth or posts a TikTok, the mask slips a little more. Fans are noticing, and they're not happy. A fan writes, TX2's whole X movement feels like a scam now. He's not saving anyone, he's just saving his ego. But we're not done yet, because if you think fetishizing subcultures, faking allyship, and stealing songs are bad, wait until you hear about TX2's origin story. Ever wonder how a failed rapper from Colorado turned into the emo poster boy overnight? Spoiler, it's not as authentic as he wants you to think. Let's talk about the MGK effect, and how TX2's entire career might just be one big calculated pivot. So TX2's out here picking fights with teenagers, fetishizing goth women, misgendering fans, and maybe even stealing songs. You'd think that's enough to sink any emo career, but Evan's not done digging his own grave. If the Lake feud showed us his fragile ego and the other controversies exposed his hypocrisy, there's one final piece of the puzzle that ties it all together. The question of whether TX2 is even real. Not like, is he a robot real? Though with his cookie-cutter emo aesthetic you'd be forgiven for wondering. But whether the whole tortured emo kid shtick is just a calculated act. The MGK effect is where failed rappers trade their chains for eyeliner and a record deal, and TX2 might just be the poster boy for this clout-chasing pivot. Let's peel back the layers of Evan's origin story, because when you dig into his past, the X movement starts looking less like a revolution and more like a marketing scam. Let's rewind to Fort Collins, Colorado, where Timothy Evan Thomas was just a regular dude with big dreams and a bigger ego. Before he was TX2, screaming about heartbreak and mental health, Evan was a rapper. Yup, you heard that right. Back in 2018, he was out here spitting bars, rocking snapbacks, and trying to make it in the crowded world of SoundCloud rap. Picture him in a basement, freestyling about hustle and heartbreak to a crowd of, like 5 people, all praying for a viral moment that never came. Now, most people would maybe pivot to a day job or at least refine their craft, but Evan, he saw a different path. Around 2019, the music scene was shifting. Machine Gun Kelly, another rapper with a so-so track record, ditched hip-hop for pop-punk, dropped tickets to My Downfall, and suddenly had teens screaming his name like it was 2005. Youngblood was doing the same, blending emo vibes with punk energy and racking up streams. The formula was clear. Trade the rap swagger for black eyeliner, lean into emo stereotypes, and you've got a less crowded lane to dominate. It's what the internet calls the MGK effect, when rappers jump ship to alternative genres because it's easier to stand out. And Evan, ever the opportunist, smelled blood in the water. Enter TX2, the emo persona. By 2020, Evan had a new look, jet black hair, skinny jeans, enough eyeliner to stock a Sephora, and a new sound. Pop-punk anthems about pain, love, and sticking it to the haters. His TikTok blew up with songs like Pull the Plug and I Would Hate Me Too, perfectly timed to ride the emo revival wave. He wasn't just making music, he was crafting a brand. The X movement was born, promising mental health awareness and a safe space for fans. He signed with Hopeless Records in 2023, sold out shows on his Cruel World tour, and had fans eating up his story of being an emo kid since 5th grade. I've always been this way, he'd say in interviews, flashing a clip of himself as a kid drumming to Avenged Sevenfold like it's his emo birth certificate.
This is me absolutely ripping a drum solo for an Avenged Sevenfold song in middle school. For anybody that makes this type of video about me, I ask that you show them this video.
Sounds legit, right? Not so fast. The internet's got a nose for fakes, and TX2's pivot raised eyebrows from the start. This dude went from rapping about trap life to crying about heartbreak overnight, one user posted. But here's where it gets really damning. TX2's music, which he sells as a raw cry from his soul, isn't even all his. Every TX2 song has 4 writers. 4! I'm a 5'4" man whore who slits his wrists, Evans sings, claiming it's his personal trauma. But if 4 people are penning your pain, how personal is it really? Like, we all know that a lot goes into making music, and many times artists need little assistance or aspirations from other people, and they have to give them credit for that too. But doing so on all your tracks is something else. Evan's defense, predictably weak. In a podcast interview, he shrugged off the criticism, saying, "I'm not trying to be the most authentic person in the room, I'm just trying to be heard." Oh, Evan, that's not the flex you think it is. Emo's built on raw, unfiltered truth. If your music is a committee effort, you're not pouring your heart out, you're assembling a product. And fans noticed. His songs sound like they were written by a marketing team, one Instagram commenter said. It's all trauma porn for TikTok. Another fan, once a diehard, admitted, "I used to cry to his music, but knowing it's not even his words, I feel scammed." This inauthenticity ties back to every controversy we've covered. The Lake feud, a fake emo kid overreacting to protect his brand. The goth fetishization, a calculated move to lean into stereotypes for clout. The misgendering and slurs, a sign that his allyship is just another prop. Even the plagiarism fits the pattern. Why write your own songs when you can borrow someone else's and call it inspiration? TX2's not an artist, he's a chameleon, changing colors to chase whatever trend's hot. And the internet's done buying it. "I'm so over this dude," one fan posted. "He's not emo. He's a wannabe who thought he could fool us." But here's the real tragedy. Evan could have been something real. He's got the voice, the stage presence, the hustle. If he'd leaned into his actual story, flaws and all, he might have earned the respect he's so desperate for. Instead, he chose the shortcut. A fake persona, a fake movement, and a fake cry for help. And now as his fan base shrinks and the hate grows, he's got nobody to blame but himself. So what's next for TX2? Can he salvage his career? Or is this the end of the line? Let's wrap this up and find out, because Evan's story isn't over. It's just getting uglier. And there you have it, folks, the spectacular implosion of TX2. The emo wannabe who thought he could scream his way to stardom while leaving a trail of drama thicker than his eyeliner. From beefing with a 19-year-old non-binary TikToker to fetishizing goth women, misgendering fans, stealing songs, and faking his entire tortured artist persona, Timothy Evan Thomas has proven one thing. He's not a savior of emo. He's its biggest embarrassment. The X movement was supposed to be a safe space for broken teens, a beacon of mental health awareness and queer pride. Instead, it's a house of cards built on hypocrisy, ego, and some seriously bad decisions. So what's left for TX2? Is there a redemption arc on the horizon? Or is this the end of Evan's Hot Topic empire? It all started with Lake, a teenager who dared to call out TX2's gimmicky music, only to get a diss track telling them to kill themselves. That alone would have been enough to raise eyebrows, but Evan didn't stop there. He turned goth women into a creepy caricature, waving dark humor as an excuse while the goth community gagged. He preached LGBTQ+ allyship, but misgendered Lake and tossed slurs like they're just lyrics, proving his rainbow flag is more prop than principle. He got caught plagiarizing songs, shrugging it off with a My Chemical Romance did it too defense that fooled exactly nobody. And the cherry on top? The MGK effect, a failed rapper pivoting to emo for clout, with songs written by a committee of 4, not the soul of a tortured Kim from Fort Collins. Every step of the way, Evan had a chance to own up, apologize, or at least log off. Instead, he doubled down, trauma dumped, and played the victim, turning himself into the internet's most hated emo act. The fallout is undeniable. TX2's fanbase, once a legion of emotional teens screaming along to I Would Hate Me Too, is fracturing. Reddit threads are buzzing with ex-fans who feel betrayed. "I thought he was real," one user wrote. "Now I see he's just a clout chaser using mental health as a brand." TikTok's no kinder, with Stitch videos tearing up his every move. "This dude's not emo, he's a walking algorithm," one creator said. Even Instagram, where TX2 still posts his cringe is cool memes, is turning against him. "I used to stand, but I can't defend this," one commenter admitted. "He's not worth it." The numbers tell the story too. His TikTok growth has stalled, and his Cruel World Tour, while sold out in some cities, is getting roasted online for lackluster performances. I paid $50 to watch Evan whine for an hour, one fan tweeted. Worst concert ever. So what's next for TX2? Can he pull a comeback? Or is he doomed to fade into obscurity like so many before him?